Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Frenchie's Nook. Friday night already. I hope everybody's had a great week so far, and I want to thank everybody for joining again, and I want to thank Carl for having me on here. And I gave a lot of thought today to what I was going to think about, or what I was going to talk about, I'm sorry. And let me get a little more light in here. And what I've decided is I want to talk to you about the beginning. What happens in the beginning? And what can you expect? I can tell you what happened to me and what I didn't expect, but this will give you an all-around idea as to what may happen. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. It may not exactly happen to you the same way, and it may happen in 100 different ways, but this is how it happened to me. And I'll explain it so that I don't talk forever. All right? So, as everybody knows, I was a firefighter, 11 years. Loved it for just about right till the end. And then I started noticing that I wasn't just in it. I wasn't in it anymore. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't making the effort that I used to make in order to get involved, to be at events, to go that extra mile. And I thought to myself, and I thought, you know what? That's not fair. That's not fair to the fire department. That's not fair to my brothers that I'm working with. And it's certainly not fair to any of the victims that we're going to work with, or homes that we're going to help, or barns that we're attending for fires. It's not going to help anybody if I'm not 100%. Right? So I gave it some thought in late 2015, early 16. And I didn't really tell anybody what I was doing because I didn't want my mind changed. I was pretty certain as to what was going to happen, and I was pretty certain that I knew I didn't want to lose that rapport with the guys, but I knew I didn't have it 100% like I used to have it. So, in January of 2016, I handed in a resignation letter that as of February 1st, I would be resigned from the fire department. This killed me. This was something that I never thought I would have to do. And what made it worse was I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just knew that there was some reason I was feeling this way, but I couldn't get a handle on it. Right? Well, February comes, February goes, I resign, summer comes around, and I start noticing some changes. I start noticing some things that are a little different. I wasn't always the most patient guy, but I started noticing less patience, and I started noticing more anger, more anxiety towards things that I always been doing, more hypervigilance. I mean, hypervigilance just on its own is huge, right? And those of you that have experienced hypervigilance, it's insane because somebody sneezing is going to make you jump this high, right? It's happened to me. I look like an idiot after the fact, but it happens. Hypervigilance, on edge, hyper-awareness. I'm sorry, that was hyper-awareness, hypervigilance, always looking out, right? I'm not the back to the room kind of guy or, staring at the door, but when I'm in a building or when I'm at an event, I need to know where the exits are, where I'm going, to heck with everybody else, where my family's going or who I have with me, and how the heck we're getting out of there if shit goes down. Why would I think shit goes down? You're asking me. Well, with PTSD, you worry about every god darn thing there is. Whether you believe it or not, your mind is playing tricks. It's playing tricks on you. And what it wants to do is make you think about those Well, what it's doing, I'm sorry, is making you think about those fears, over analyzing everything, whether it be relationships, friendships, something somebody says. With PTSD, you overanalyze it, and it's not always fair, and it's not something that you are doing consciously all the time, but it kind of goes along with trust. You don't lose trust for people, but you do find it harder and harder to gain trust from new people, from new friends, from new acquaintances, from new helpers, from new supporters, right? You find it a little difficult sometimes with certain people, but that's not you. No. PTSD is telling you, you know what? You should watch out. Don't let yourself out there too much, And that's exactly how I was feeling. Don't get yourself out there too much. You don't want to tell everybody too much at once, because you don't know really if that's what's going on. Well, as the summer grew on and the fall approached, and this was 2016, and things were getting uglier. Things were getting uglier at home. I hate to use the word ugly. Things were getting a little hairier at home. I was getting harder to get along with, more than usual. Harder to get along with. Not being, what word am I looking for? Not being as happy with stuff I'd normally done. Not going to things that I normally enjoyed, or doing things I normally enjoyed. And I didn't give it a lot of thought, but, it was a late day in the fall of 2016. I think it was either middle of October, I'm pretty sure. The late October. I was getting the kids off to school that morning, and we were having a tough morning, and I'm not blaming my kids by other means. Like I said, my patience, it's gone. And we had a difficult morning, as a lot of them went, just because I was a little more sketchy and edgy and jumpy than I normally am. And it's hard to get kids ready to do what they're supposed to do in the morning when you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, right? And your patience level, you just got up and your patience level is already through the roof. That's not cool, right? Your anxiety's already here. I walk around with my anxiety about here, okay? I'm going to stand up a bit. Most people walk around with their anxiety down here, okay? Someone with PTSD could be walking around with it up here all the time. So it takes no time to hit the roof. No time at all, right? That's what it feels like for me. No time to hit the roof. You're always walking around on here. You're walking around on eggshells, right? You go from here, something gets you upset, boom, you're there. You're at the limit, right? Through the roof, you're busting 10, you're up there. And that's what started happening. So in October of 2016, I left home, dropped my kids off at school, and drove myself to work 10 minutes down the road. But as I was driving myself to work, there was almost a tapping on my shoulder. There was somebody saying, "You're not okay. There's something wrong." As much as my wife at the time kept telling me, I think something's wrong. I think something's wrong. Well, as a man, or maybe just me, as stupid as I could be, as stupid as I was, I ignored it and said, you know what? I don't believe that. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with me. Who wants to admit there's something wrong with them? I didn't. I didn't want to admit something was wrong. But on that cool day in October, as I was driving to work, anxiety busting through the seams already, and I'm not even at work for the day. And like I said, I feel this presence, and something told me, you're not okay. You have to admit you're not okay. You're busting at the seams here, and you don't know why, but you're not okay. Bang. I'm like, whoa, how am I going to handle that? I just realized that my anxiety can go even farther. I had a little more to give, or a little more to take, whatever it is. And I was like, shit, So I get to work, and I'm doing some stuff in the office, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong with me. There's something going on that I'm not picking up on, or I'm picking up on very slightly, but I need to know what the heck it is. Because it's driving me nuts. And it's pissing off my family and my wife at the time. So, what do? Well, I go see a doctor. Doctor says, well, Jean-Guy, how are things going? What have you been doing? What have you done? And I did mention to my doctor that I'd resigned from the fire department. She was quite shocked, asking for a reason. I said, I didn't really have one. I just saw myself disconnecting. She said, pow. You know what, Jean-Guy? I don't want to say this because I don't treat it, but I need to refer you to another doctor because I think you may have PTSD. I was like, whoa. No, there's no way. No, I've handled those calls. I've been able to do those calls. Yeah, I think of them, but everybody thinks of them, right? Everybody worries about them. Isn't everybody driving around going, holy crap, what are we doing? Where are we going? Oh, watch out. Where are you going? Oh, that guy's over there again. Blah, 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 blah. Isn't everybody on edge? No. Well, to my surprise, she was like, no, not everybody's on edge. Not everybody always feels in a rush. And some people, Jean-Guy, they can calm down. I was like, huh. What do I do now? We're in the fall of 2016. Well, I got an appointment, and I got to see the doctor. I did some therapy through the winter, and I got to see a doctor in May of 2017, and the doctor's prescribed me with PTSD. And wasn't sure at the time, obviously, what I was thinking in 2016 when resigning from the fire department, but we're pretty sure at the time that signs and symptoms were starting to take effect, because I couldn't exactly put a nail on it. I just knew that, or finger on it. I just knew that I couldn't be there anymore, just because of the effort I was giving, right? So, 2017, I get diagnosed with PTSD. Okay, now what do I do? So I've got PTSD. What do I do? Some of you were probably asking the same thing. What do you do? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I tried to go after every avenue I could. Yeah. I went online. I looked for answers. I made doctor's appointment. I saw doctors. I saw therapists. I saw enough people in a short period of time that I was like, okay, crap, this is a lot. How am I going to handle this? How can I nail this down? Well, that went on through the summer. And as the summer grew on, I thought, as my therapist was telling me, or my doctor, was talking about work and how I was feeling at work. I'm like, well, you know what? I feel okay. I always feel like I've not enough time to do anything, and that's not the idea at all. And I'm slipping up here and there, and I forget a little bit. But other than that, my doctor says, did that all just start? And I said, well, it's been coming along for a couple months now, but, I've kind of ignored it like everything else. And it's just presenting itself more and more. And I'm having a hard time concentrating. My doctor said, well, it's nothing new, okay? That's something that some people experience. It's the concentration. Some people can get through their employment no problem. Other people cannot. Well, in September of 2017, I had an episode where I thought that was it. I couldn't fight anymore. I couldn't do it. I was like, holy crap. This is tough. And I'm having a hell of a time. And I don't know how much longer I can do this for. And I did have a near miss. And I did end up walking an hour and a half across town to get myself into the hospital. Because I knew, you know what? I think I've hit my plateau here. I need some freaking help. I need it now. Okay? Not that I wasn't getting help before, but this is plateaued. So I'm in the hospital for 8 days. 8 days. With a bunch of strangers, friendly staff, good doctors, don't get me wrong. But it gave me a lot of time to think. But it gave me a lot of time to accept. And I accepted the fact that this is what I've got. And I've got to fight it. Quitting is not an option. As we've said before, quitting is just a part-time solution to a full-time situation. You don't want to make that last-minute decision. Because that's it. And you know what? I don't fault the people that die by suicide. You know what? I feel so bad for how hard they've had it or had it. And I feel awful that either A, they couldn't get the help they needed, or B, nobody was listening to what they were trying to tell them. I don't feel as though it's selfish at all. I look at it as though, you know what? They felt as though there was no other way out. And that's what they had to do. They didn't do it to hurt their family. They didn't do it to hurt anybody. They didn't do it because they're cowards. They did it because they were done fighting. And they thought that that was it. You know what? Anybody that's watching this and that has PTSD, congratulations for coming this far. Congratulations for still fighting, and keep fighting. Okay? Because as much as we have bad days and we have good days, it's part of this. It's part of PTSD. It's part of this disorder. And we all know that we can't cure it. And we can only work with it and figure out ways to cope with it and figure out different ways to work with it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get myself in the light. Bad lighting here today. So that's a bit about everything that happened up until I'm gonna say fall of 2017. Okay? What happened after that is a mixed bag of nuts and bolts. I've been working with doctors, I've been working with therapists since October of 2017. I had to leave work. I have not returned to work yet. I'm working with a couple therapists. I have a great doctor. And yes, I do take meds, of course. I'm not opposed to taking meds. The sleeping pills are a little tougher to take. You don't want to rely on them. But the everyday meds, of course I'm taking them. Because you know what? When you don't take them, after a couple days, if you forgot or you got into a groove that you didn't want to and you haven't, you friggin' well know. You know you didn't take them. And you can tell. So you know what? As part of Frenchie's Nook, and a part of you guys watching, and if you're watching and you're fighting, you know what? It's not over. No. Stay with us. Stay with these groups. Stay with these Facebook pages. You know, we've got PTSD Wifey. We've got Bunker Gear for your brain. You know, we've got your Frenchie's Nook here once every week on Carl's. You've got PTSD, The Truth Behind the Smile, over on my other page. There's tons of people. We've got PTS support, different groups going on, Guelph, London. There's supporters all around, okay? There's people to talk to. There's information you can get. You can pick up a phone. There's a crisis line. You know what? Just because you're sitting here today watching, I know that you want to keep going. I know that you want to keep fighting. And so do I. And you know what? We want to help you. Okay? Stick around, because on these pages and in these speeches or talks, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever we're doing, we've got something to say. This may not relate to you. This experience that I'm explaining may not be exactly like yours, but you know what? It's mine. And if you can pick apart anything that you can use from it and throw it in your toolbox, then do it. Because that's why we do these things. We do these things to help you guys. We do these things to help ourselves. Because no word of lie, the more we talk about it, the better it feels that we're helping people. And then helping people helps us. Pretty simple? No, it's not simple at all. But you know what? It's fun. It keeps us going. And it gives us a reason to get up every morning. Gives us a reason to make our damn bed. It gives us a reason to get in that shower. And it gives us a reason to find 2 things that day that we need to do. And you know what? The rest is gravy. Because we're here and we're fighting. We chose to fight. A year ago, when I had not quite a year ago, when I thought I was at my wit's end. I thought that was it. I thought couldn't fight anymore. You know what? That scared the living shit out of me. It did. And I thought the only thing I need to do is go to the hospital. Because the way I'm feeling right now is not safe. And you know what? If you ever feel like that, there's a crisis line. There's 911. Get up and go to the hospital. Call the ambulance for all I care. But don't let yourself be alone. Okay? I'm in a group in Guelph with guys that have been in the same position. They're still here. They're still fighting. Okay? And it may not be easy. But they're doing it. And you guys are doing it too, because you're here and you're watching. Okay? Today may have been a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day. There may be a bad day down the road. There may be a bad day for 2 months. And you know what? That's okay too. But when there is a bad day, you need to accept that it's a bad day. You need to accept the fact that you're feeling like crap. And you're allowed to take a time out. You're allowed to take a day or a few hours to go, wait a minute. I need to reset for a little bit. I need to figure this out. You're allowed to do that. Right? Remember, we're not weak. We may be tired as all heck sometimes. It may take us longer to get things done, but we're not weak. We're tired. We're sick. You can't see it, but we're not weak. And you're not weak either, because you're here and you're watching these. All right? So I want to thank everybody for watching. If you know anybody that's not on here that you think can use this information, send it along to them. I want to thank Carl Waggett for having me on here. And I want to thank everybody else that's on here, that's watching, that shares and likes. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope the weather's nice for you where you are. And I will see you back here next Friday on Bunker Gear for Your Brain with another episode of Frenchie's Nook. I'm out. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.